Hi my loves, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having an amazing day. If you're new here, my name's Emma. I make health and lifestyle videos and I upload every Wednesday and Sunday. Today's video is going to be a video all about my weight loss and how I lost weight, and literally going through step by step how I managed it and how I managed to keep it off, because that has never happened to me before in my whole life. I've lost weight before and then I've just put it back on, and this time it stayed off. So this is how I did it. So, quick disclaimer, if you are here for a video on how to lose weight quickly, if you want to be bikini body ready, which is just not a thing anyway, but you know what I mean, in like 2 weeks, this video is not for you. Exit now, because it's just not going to happen. I'm not going to be giving you those kind of tips. If you are here because you want to change your life and feel healthier and feel happier and lose weight, then amazing. Oh, this video is for you, and I hope that you find it helpful and enjoy it. So just a quick background, I'm not going to do like a full weight loss story or anything, but I just quickly wanted to say that I was never overweight. I was actually always within like a healthy BMI, a healthy weight, but I had put on a significant amount of weight when I'd gone to uni. So I was just heavier than I was used to being, and I definitely was on the higher end of healthy, if that makes sense. Definitely just heavier than I'd ever been, and it didn't feel right for my body, and I just didn't feel happy or confident. But even before I'd put on that weight, I'd never been healthy. Like, I'd always been a binge eater, which I can make a whole other video on. I ate a lot of crisps, chocolate, cake, biscuits, like all of those yummy things that are very highly processed and have a lot of fat and sugar. Those were like my staple foods, and chips as well. I love chips. I still love chips. So yeah, I was never super healthy. So really I got to this point where I was like, I want to lose this weight, but also I want it to actually last this time. Like, I want to feel good. I want to be able to feel good for the rest of my life. So that's really what my goal was here. So I am going to show you some before and after photos now somewhere, but I do want you to bear in mind that obviously I was at healthy weight before, so I didn't think that I was fat or overweight or anything like that. I just didn't feel good in my body. And if you do look like my before photo, even if you don't look like my before photo, it doesn't mean that your body isn't perfect just as it is, or that you need to lose weight necessarily or anything like that. But this is just how I did it, so I hope that it can be helpful for somebody. Yeah, I'm just going to jump in, and I've written a little list on my phone of literally every single step that I took. So we will jump on in. The first thing that I did to lose weight was I actually went plant-based. So I didn't eat, and I don't eat, any fish, meat, eggs, dairy. Anything that comes from an animal, I don't eat it. So I originally did this because I read a book called How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger, which I will link in the description below. And I do just want to say quickly, if you do read this book, I think with any kind of book like this, you know, he had an end goal, which was to make the people that read that book plant-based or vegan. That's what he wanted from people reading that book. So of course you have to bear that in mind when you're reading it, and when you're reading any kind of scientific book like that, I think you have to take what they're saying with a pinch of salt and be a bit more discerning with what you're reading, which is hard if you're not a science person. Like, I'm not a science person, but I think do just be aware of that when you're reading that book. But yeah, I read that book, and it basically spoke about all the health risks that came along with eating animal products, and I found that really shocking because I ate a lot of animal products, like literally every day. So yeah, that was one thing that really kind of, I was like, wow, I want to change. I want to be healthier, not just lose weight. I don't want to die of all these different diseases like heart disease and bowel cancer, all those kind of things. So I decided that I wanted to change the way I ate. So that's when I went plant-based. And also along with that, I obviously learned more about eating a plant-based diet and how it's good for the environment and things like that, which obviously sort of spurred me on to carry on doing it. And I actually found this a lot easier than I thought I would. I can make a whole video on eating plant-based and transitioning to a plant-based diet if that's something that would be helpful for people. But yeah, I found it a lot easier than I thought I would. And it was actually amazing because I couldn't eat a lot of the stuff that I would usually binge on. So I couldn't really eat a lot of chocolate, a lot of biscuits, a lot of cakes, etc., because they had milk and things like that in them. Pizza, things like that, I couldn't really have, or I had to have an alternative, and the alternative was usually healthier. So that automatically cut a load of stuff out of my diet without me necessarily focusing on cutting it out for weight loss purposes. I was doing it for sort of like a bigger reason, if that makes sense. And I think that was really helpful. So that that really cleaned, I don't want to say cleaned, but it did kind of clean up my diet a little bit in that I wasn't eating so much processed kind of rubbish. Along with that as well, in the book, Dr. Greger has this thing called, he calls it a daily dozen, which you can also get an app for, which is like a little checklist of things that you should be eating every day, like a dozen different things. And I really focused on that when I first started going plant-based, and specifically when I was trying to really clean up my diet, eat healthy and lose weight. So it has basically a list of different things like berries, whole grains, everything like that. I really focused hard on trying to make sure that I was ticking off as many of those things as possible. It was really satisfying as well to have like a full list ticked off. But by doing that, I was focusing way more on like adding things to my diet rather than what I was taking away. I think it can be super scary when you hear like a vegan diet, you're like, oh my god, I can't eat this, I can't eat this, I can't eat this. Like, I'm having to cut literally everything out of my life. Like, sometimes when I tell people, I'm like, what do you eat? Like, what do you eat? Because that's my whole diet. And I completely understand. But with this, I was focusing way more on adding things into my diet, which was really helpful, and a much more positive way of thinking about it. And I didn't feel so much like I was restricting. It felt much more abundant, and like I was eating loads of new foods, which was really, really nice. So with that, I was obviously increasing my fibre, increasing all my micronutrients. And I do think if you focus, that's another thing I try to do, is focus really hard on my micronutrients, because I found when I was doing that, the macronutrients and just my general health tended to kind of look after itself. I think a lot of us don't, a lot of us don't get enough fibre, we don't get enough of all these different vitamins and things like that. So when I was focusing on kind of hitting all of those things, I found that I was eating the healthier foods anyway, which was really good, and I felt a little bit less restricted than if I was looking at like macronutrients. I know a lot of people do if it fits your macros. I don't do that personally. I didn't do that at the time because I felt that I wanted to do it more for health, and if I did it for if it fits your macros, I could kind of fit in foods that weren't really good for me, and I would just be losing weight, if that makes sense. Whereas this was always a health thing for me as well. So after I've been doing that for a little while, I also ended up doing intermittent fasting, which worked really, really well for me. Intermittent fasting, if you don't know, is basically when you eat between a certain window of time and then you don't eat for the other part of the day. So for most people, this is an 8-hour window that you eat in, and then a 16-hour window that you don't eat in. Obviously you're asleep for a lot of that 16-hour window. That is how I did it. I sort of did it 8 or 9 hours of eating. However, I would recommend, if you are a woman watching this, please try and do it in a 10-hour window of eating with a 14-hour fasting period, just because there have been studies done, and I will link them down below, that suggest that it's not so good for women. It can cause hormonal issues and things like that, and I really don't want that to happen to anyone. So I would consider doing that in a 10-hour window, and that is what I would do now. But that did seem to work really well for me. I felt that I could like eat a lot of food in that time period, and I don't go to bed like crazy late or anything either, so it was quite easy for me to fit into my lifestyle. And I did notice that I definitely slimmed down when I started doing that, like 100%. The abs started coming out a lot more and things like that. Yeah, I really did think that worked really well. So if you're interested in that, maybe give that a go, because I found that really helpful. That being said, I don't think it is the ultimate goal. For me, the ultimate goal with this was always to just go back to how I'd ate when I was a child. Like, I ate when I was hungry. I ate things that were good for me. That's what I wanted to do. I never wanted to be so obsessive about food. And I think intermittent fasting, it still has that obsessive component to it, because you're still restricting in some way. You're restricting the hours that you can eat. So whilst it was good for me for weight loss, it wasn't really good for me, I don't think, necessarily as a long-term thing, because I just want to be able to live my life, eat whenever I want to eat, go out for dinner, and that really does restrict that a lot. So that's also something to bear in mind. Another thing that I did was I basically stopped drinking. I was never a massive drinker before, but when I did go out, I would drink a lot. Like, I was a bit of a binge drinker. I'm the kind of person where it's like all or nothing. So for a long time it would be nothing, and then I'd go out and it'd be like, wow, my body was like, we can't handle this. So obviously I would drink so much alcohol, I'd have like shots and God knows what, and then you'd be really hungry at the end of the night, and then you'd go and eat a load of McDonald's chips, and it was just not the best thing for your body. Plus you were really tired the next day, and I was just like, you know what, I'm not about this life. Obviously if you really like going out for a drink, then carry on going out for a drink, but maybe just reel it in a little bit. Maybe you don't need to go out 5 nights a week, maybe just one night, you know, maybe. It's all about just small changes that will help you create a healthier lifestyle. So I honestly just don't really like the whole clubbing, drinking culture anyway, so this wasn't really a big deal for me, and I was just like, hey, let's just not do that anymore. So this year I think I've had one night out so far this year, and that was for my sister's 21st birthday. Yeah, so I still have a drink every now and again for like a big occasion, but for the most part, drinking's just not for me. It's like calories that I just don't really need. They don't make me feel good the next day. I feel really, really gross actually, and then I eat a load more food. When I'm hungover, I'm like, pass me the hash browns. Give me a full English breakfast. That's not helping me. So I've talked quite a lot about food. I'm now going to quickly talk about exercise. I was never an exercise person. I've tried multiple times. I'd go to the gym, I'd go to classes, just wasn't happening for me. It was just like, no. This time around I was like, right, we're going to make this a habit, but we're going to start small, because usually I'm an all or nothing person. I jump in the deep end and I'm like, whoa, let's go 7 days a week, an hour, massive cardio session, sweating, I want to cry. This time we're going to start slow and steady, because slow and steady wins the race. So I would wake up every single morning. This was when I was studying abroad. I woke up every single morning, early in the morning. I went down to the gym and I literally just walked on the treadmill. I walked on the treadmill and did an incline walk. So I'd be on the highest incline, a fast-paced walk, and honestly that gets you sweating, guys. And I would do that for 20 to 40 minutes. I put on like a YouTube video, I'd watch some Netflix. It would be a lovely thing going on that I'd have there, and I just do that literally. So I was just burning extra calories that I would be, if that makes sense. And I was making a habit of going to the gym, but it wasn't really scary or horrible or anything, because it was just like, oh, this is chill, I'm just watching some vids and it's fun. And then as I was going more and more, I was like, oh, maybe I'll do like a little something extra. So then I started doing like a 10-minute ab workout, and then I do my walking on the treadmill. And then I was like, oh, I might do a little bit of bum as well, you know, because everyone likes a nice bum. I'm gonna put some bum workouts in. So then some days I do abs, and then sometimes I do bum, and then I just do my walk on the treadmill. And I did that for like a few months, and that was within the period that I lost the weight. So I wasn't doing anything like crazy in the gym, but I was just moving more and making it a habit. And then when I got home from study abroad, I started going to the gym and lifting weights, and I really wish I'd started lifting weights sooner, because I think that's an amazing way to increase your metabolism, make sure you can eat more food, which is always just the dream. And when I lost the weight, I didn't really have much tone. I had some abs, but not really much going on anywhere else, whereas now I have a lot more muscle, which is really nice. So I would do that earlier. That is my recommendation to you. However, that is not what I did, and I started slow, which I think is important. And that meant that I'd got into the habit of going every day. So every day I woke up, went to the gym, and I just sort of kept adding in more and more things, like harder and harder things that I was maybe a bit scared to do before, and I'd start adding them in, and I was just like, wow, how have I been to the gym every day for like the past 6 months? What? Who am I? I think it's really easy if you're a person like me, you're going all in and you think, I just want to get this. I want to be looking toned, looking good, looking happy, healthy, loving life. However, you need to have a like serious conversation with yourself and think, do I want to be skinny for some like holiday or event, or do I actually want to be healthy and live a long life and be able to do all the things that I want to do? And some of you may be in the mindset, really, when you're honest with yourself, you want the first one. I think maybe that's something that you need to work through a little bit. But I knew that this time I wanted it to stick. I didn't want it to feel hard anymore. I wanted to live a healthy lifestyle that felt easy, that I just did, and it didn't feel like a big hassle or a big deal. It was just how I lived my life. And that was all about making habits for me. So that's what I did with the gym. The other thing that I did with exercise was to walk everywhere. So I literally would make sure that I walked my 10,000 steps every single day. I still try to do this now. I just think it's a really good thing to be moving your body. And obviously when you are moving your body more, then your total daily energy expenditure increases, which is just good for everyone, because then obviously your calorie expenditure increases as well. You can eat more food, etc. It's just a good thing. So I made sure that I was always doing my 10,000 steps, and it wasn't hard. Like, I just walked to the shop, I walked to my classes, and they pile up really quickly. But it's really easy, I think, just to be like, oh, I'll just pop in the car. You don't need to pop in the car, girl. You don't need to. You got some perfectly great legs that are gonna get you there, so use them. And the final thing I did, and this was the most important thing I could have ever done, was to focus on my mental health. You need to look at personally, and this will change for every single person, what is it that is making you put on weight? Like, what is it that is making you eat more? Is it just that you have bad habits that you need to change? Is it because you eat to comfort yourself? Or is it because you're a binge eater and you are restricting yourself and then you're eating massive amounts of food? You need to look at the specific reason that your weight has increased. If you don't address that, the likelihood of you losing that weight is much lower, or the likelihood of you putting on that weight again after you've lost it becomes much higher. So for me, it was because I was binge eating. So I really had to work on my relationship with my body and how I felt about my body, and that was honestly the most important thing I could do. I literally told myself every single day, you guys, like, I love my body. I'd like write it down, and that might sound really cringe to some people, but it worked, so I don't really care. And once I had fixed that relationship with my body, I wanted to look after it. Like, I wanted to take care of it. I was appreciative of all of the things it could do for me, and it became so much of an easier process. So I can make another video all about how I kind of got out of the whole binge eating cycle, but I think it will change for each person depending on what is it that causes you to eat. You need to find out what those triggers are. Maybe you could keep a food diary, and sort of when you're eating food, or eating food that is maybe less healthy for you, work out what are those things. Maybe you go out a little bit too much, or, you know, anything like that. You're comfort eating, and you can look at what it is that's causing those problems. There's no point in just trying to fix the symptoms. You need to actually target the cause of what is creating the weight gain. So I really hope this video was helpful. I know that I used to watch these videos literally all the time before I lost the weight, and yeah, I really want to hammer home to you that it is a lifestyle, it is a long-term thing, and I promise you it's so worth it. It's so worth it to get those healthy habits in and to appreciate your body for everything that it can do, rather than coming from a place of anger and punishing yourself. Like, please, if you get anything from this video, please get that it's not about punishing yourself, it's about loving yourself. If you guys did enjoy this video, then please give it a thumbs up, because it really supports my channel and it just makes my day. And obviously you can subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. I will link all of my Instagrams and social medias down below. I've got my fitness Instagram as well as my personal one if you're just into the fitness stuff. I hope you guys have an amazing week, and I will see you all soon. Bye guys.